And hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality, and today I'm going to be breaking down and decoding the gut, the stomach, the solar plexus, which is why I have the yellow highlighted here, the solar plexus, solar, our sun, our own sun. Side of our body. This is the gut digestion. And folks, look, I've been heavily involved in nutrition for the majority of my life. I've been in health and wellness much longer than I have been in the mystical arts. I got my degree in nutrition, and I know how important it is to really take care of the digestion, which, if you look at it from an esoteric standpoint, it's the so below. Or at least it's the starting point of the so below aspect when you look at the chakras and you lay them out over the physical body. And it's really important from a nutritional standpoint that you eat really good to take care of your temple, but your digestion's extremely important because that's where everything starts to break down, and then you have a bowel movement and you get rid of the waste. We're going to talk about that. But what does this mean esoterically, really? The digestion, the gut, the solar plexus, the Manipura in the Vedic system. We're going to get into that. What does the shape mean? The petals. We're going to get into all that, folks. So here we go, folks. Here we go. Notice, in numerology, the word stomach equals the number 27, just like the word golden. The third chakra in the Vedic system is the color yellow, which is partially gold, And it matches that word of stomach, 27. I want you to really focus on this picture right here, this illustration. This is the illustration of the digestion system. And first I want to digress, and I want to give thanks to somebody on Facebook. His name is Liam Bailey, and we had a conversation which was the starting point of the Pope and Lucifer, and he commented and whatnot, and I was working on decoding this digestion right there. And I said, when you realize that our fall is also tied to the food that falls down into our belly, our sun, our digestion, it's where the excrement starts to process itself. And then, kind of being funny, the root chakra is the true hell because that's where our anus meets the root, the ending point. And I was kind of funny, out comes the devil every time we sit upon the porcelain throne. Every time you go to the bathroom and have a bowel movement, you get rid of a devil. So thank you, Liam Bailey. That's kind of, partly inspired me to do this, but here it is. And what's really fascinating about this illustration? Here is the actual stomach, and then the duodenum, and then the small intestine. This thing's all coiled up, the small intestine. It's all coiled up like a snake would be coiled up. And, this is the large intestine right here. And, what I saw myself personally is I saw a snake. And, obviously this looks like a tongue, but it's the legs and the thighs, the separation point. But it certainly looks like a tongue on a snake. But this is really an illustration of the digestion system. And this is really the large intestine. And this is the small intestine. And the starting point of it, folks, is our stomach, which matches the word golden. And this is a big deal process, and we're going to get into that. What I wanted to start off first, let's bring in some numbers. Let's bring in some science, which is going to play into some math. And we're going to use numbers to support all of this, because again, folks, I've been saying this and I will keep saying it. The game of life, this game we play is completely fixed and rigged. And I've been showing this over and over, and this is no exception. Now, what I want you to notice here is this is a typical calculator. It's also the dial pad on your phone. And it's also Saturn's magic square, minus the 0. But Saturn's magic square is 987-654-321. Not in this order, but it carries all those numbers. How about that? And that is the lower chakra points. In this case, it would be the soul below. It would be yellow, orange, and red. Which when you pull up to a traffic light, you'll see red and yellow there. And then green. Kind of upside down. But what I want you to notice is, see, folks, when you bring in the alchemical elements, the elements of the periodic table, what do they have to do with all this? Well, folks, they have everything to do with this presentation and all the other presentations I've been doing primarily now. Notice, 789 is nitrogen. We're just matching up the numbers. So if you're new to this, welcome. But we're matching up the numbers with the elements of the periodic table. And I'm getting those, let me digress, I'm getting those from the Royal Society of Chemistry. It's this rsc.org/periodic/table. And all of these elements, we're made up of these elements. Not all of them, because some of them are synthetically made or man-made, but we're made up of some of these elements. Copper and boron and selenium, and we have these elements inside of our bodies. So they're important. And they can be tied into numerology. But nonetheless, here it is. This is the line for the solar plexus, because we're talking about the gut and the digestion. It's really important that your digestion is in tip-top shape. Your 789 line. Nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine. Those are the 3 elements that make up, in this example, the solar plexus, the Manipura. And when you add these up, here are the atomic masses or weights of these elements. When you add them up, go over to the trusty calculator, you're going to get 48.996. And then if you go a step further and you add up both the masculine, which is the left side of the decimal, and the feminine, you add those 2 up, you're going to get an outcome of 1044. Which, if you know your esoteric, if you know your theology, the 144 is a big deal. As a matter of fact, the 144 is tied to the number 666. Absolutely it is. I showed it during my presentation of decoding the COVID-19 timeline, showing it's a completely fixed and rigged system. The 144, Wuhan, the coordinates of Wuhan is 144 when you add up the latitude, longitude, and of course 144 spaces in the string of pi adds up to the number 666. So that's what we got, folks, right there. This is really important. Let's keep going. I want to just really quickly go over this because this is not the presentation itself. It's about the solar plexus chakra, but I couldn't leave it out. And I'm going to be decoding all the chakras. But notice, here is your Saturn's magic square. There it is. In the aspects of alchemy, the blending of energies or the blending of elements. When you add up all these elements, which is representing the yellow, the orange, and the red, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root, and you go over to the trusty calculator and add them up, you're going to get 93.044. And when you add up 93 and 44, you're going to get the number 137, which is the 33rd prime number. The soul below is tied to the 33, folks. And then what about that 93 on the masculine side of the decimal? All 9 digits, this is Saturn's magic square, all 9 digits add up to the number 93, and most of you know Saturn in the English equals the number 93, which is why science tells you, NASA tells you that the sun is 93 million miles away from Earth. Is this Saturn's sun? Is this the white sun and is Saturn the black sun? Or is it just the 93 representing this box right there, the numbers 1 through 9 or 0 through 9? You can look at it in different vantage points. But nonetheless, I thought it was absolutely fascinating with this. Now, when you take the digestion system itself, folks, because it starts in the throat, it starts in the mouth, you must put food and water and beverages and whatever else you're going to consume, it's got to go into your mouth first. So it has to include the throat chakra. And this is a mighty big one right here because, the 5th chakra is run by Saturn. Saturn is Chronos, which is father time. And, some of you use Saturn as the 6th planet. And I don't think that's correct. Saturn is the 5th planet. And 5 is blue or cyan in the color spectrum. It's the most dominant color in nature, by the way. When you go outside, you'll notice the blue skies, the blue water. It's the most dominant color. It's the throat chakra. Right now I'm speaking to you using my throat. It involves speaking, manifesting. Matter of fact, in astrology, the 5th house is the house of manifestations. You can't do any manifesting without using your throat. You can, but primarily you're talking about speaking your spells. If I want to do a business with you, I got to say, hey, I want to join in and hook up and do some business with you. Let's start a partnership. Or, hey, let's go to the gym together. Let's go out to eat. Everything you primarily do, you use your mouth, your throat. So this is a big deal chakra. And it includes eating because you got to eat and put the food in your mouth. So it starts off here and it goes down the digestion and it lands in the stomach, the solar plexus, the gut, otherwise known as the second brain. The second brain, it's a big deal because, if you don't eat good, and some of you don't, some of you eat like complete shit, and you're completely wasting part of your incarnation. Because if you're eating like shit, you're not loving yourself, and you're not getting the downloads you should be getting, because when you don't eat good, your brain's going to get foggy. I don't care. You're entitled to your opinion, just like I'm entitled to mine, but I'm talking about nutrition now. Talking about real science. If you don't eat good, your body will get toxic. And most certainly your brain's going to get foggy. So this is an extremely important combination, the 5-3. And I put here, Saturn's the father, and then he's got a son. We're told through theology that would be Jesus, Yeshua. The son, Zeus, Jupiter. Saturn and Jupiter. Chronos and Zeus, father, son, 5-4. And is it possible that Jupiter, or Zeus, had his own son as well, which, that's why I labeled it Jupiter's son, because you see, folks, obviously there's so many ways to look at this. If you follow the cards of illumination, this actually would be Mars. And it's really fascinating because what is NASA and Elon Musk, what is their fixation with Occupy Mars? It's like this fixation. Could it really just be solar worship? Because you see the sun, this is our sun. This is our sun, the solar plexus. That's why it's called solar plexus. Solar, the sun. Could this be the son of Jupiter? Could be. Notice it has 10 petals. This is using the Vedic system, which has a lot of merit. It's got 10 petals, which is linked to the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, which is the Yod, which is linked to the element neon, which is 19, which is a battery, which is what the sun is. The 19th card in the tarot is the sun card. So 10 is related to 19, which is related to the sun, which is related to solar plexus. And then this has 16 petals. 16 is related to sulfur, related to the number 31 and 30, 32. When we go a step further, when you add up 16 and 10, you get the number 26. 26 is what you'll get. There is that 26, the 126. But it's related to the I am that I am, the iodine. The iodine. See, folks, here is the 5th chakra and here is the 3rd. 53, which is why I put the element iodine here to tie that in together. And remember, 16 plus 10 is 26. There is that 26. It has the 1 there, but it still shares that 26. It's just on a higher level. I am that I am. Folks, iodine in nutrition is one of the most, it's essential. If you don't get iodine in your diet, your thyroid's going to be compromised. Amongst so many other things. It's an essential element that you got to take. Most people are iodine deficient. But you got to take it. Otherwise, you start to decay at a much faster pace. So the 53 is tied to the throat and the solar plexus. And remember, man, when you eat the food, it goes down into the stomach. So these two are in bed together. And you could say this is the black sun and this is the white sun. When you look up in the sky, that, when it's high noon, it looks like a white sun. When it comes down to the horizon, it starts to get yellow, and then it gets orange, and then it gets red. That's how the sun works with the colors. Here's the horizon right there. And when the sun gets down to that level, it turns red a lot of times. Orange and then red. But notice, the word iodine is the number 23, and that's a direct match of the word crown and blood and history. But what I wanted you to focus upon, folks, is taking the consonants and separating them from the vowels. See, in numerology, the science of numbers, consonants are the personality of the word, and the vowels are the heart's desire of the word. So you could say the consonants are the masculine and the vowels are the feminine. So you can separate the two. Iodine has 2 consonants, the D and the N, and then it has 4 vowels. And when you break those up, you get the 9 and the 14. And that's a direct match of the word pineal, as in the pineal gland, the 9 and the 14. And again, I've said earlier that if your digestion is compromised, if you don't eat good, that's on you. I'm not here to tell you how to eat, but I'm here to tell you through nutrition, if you eat like shit, you're going to be foggy. Period. There is no You may think you're thinking good. You may think you're getting all these down. If you're not eating good and taking care of your temple, you're going to be having crappy downloads. You're not going to be on a vibrational frequency to receive the higher things in life. That's how it works in life. It's all about frequency. And the pineal gland is no exception. So that's why I wanted to do a decode on the gut, the digestion, because it's extremely important. Let's go a little bit step further. So let's talk about this pineal gland, because remember, this is the second brain. And the pineal gland, even though the brain is linked to the crown, the days of creation, according to theology, it wasn't 7 days, it was 6. So it would end on the pineal gland. It would start on the root, and it would work its way up through to the pineal gland. And the pineal gland in the Vedic system has just 2 flowers on it, 1 on each side. And if we take that 9 and 14, because we're now, why did I do this? Pineal, that's how it breaks down in syllables. Pineal, 9-14. That's another way to observe numerology from, is how words roll off your lips. Pineal, in syllables. 9 and 14. And remember, folks, 9 is the number of your higher mind in astrology. The 9th house is your house of philosophy and your higher mind. The 9th card in the tarot is the Hermit card, the sage, the wise one, the old man on the mountain, the number 9, which is why it's tied to this pineal, 9 and 14. And then, we could say, here is pi, and 3 is the lower mind. 3 is the solar plexus. But as you can see, they're all tied together when you break it down this way on a deeper level. Now, what about the gut according to nutrition itself? Hippocrates said, the most famous quote in nutrition, all disease begins in the gut. Disease is not at ease, it's dis-ease. You want to have an easy life? Dis-ease. Dis means against, resistance, opposites. And it begins in the gut. So when we have our food through our throat chakra, it goes down the esophagus, dumps out into the stomach. The solar plexus, our second brain. It's the third chakra. And notice that the word gut itself is tied to the solar lunar calendar, not the Gregorian. The Gregorian is throwing everything off. But the perfect circle, the solar lunar, if you take 52 weeks of the year and you divide that the proper way, you're going to get 364, not 365. So essentially, our gut is our sun. It's our sun. There's acid in there, and it's going to be having to digest the food. And notice the word gut is a 13, totally in numerology. The 13th card in the tarot is the death card. What happens to food when it enters our stomach? It's going to die because acid's going to take over and it's going to start to do what it needs to do to break it down. And then when you go to the bathroom and sit on the porcelain throne, out pops your devil. Because folks, you don't sit there and keep your dumps. You don't keep your excrement. You don't keep your waste. It gets flushed down the toilet because it's no good. It's dead. So that's our devil that pops out. Every time we sit on the toilet and have a bowel movement, out pops the devil. It's kind of humorous. But in the gut is where the solar, and again, we're talking about the sun. Solar lunar calendar. Solar. Okay? So what are we breaking down the word dis-ease? Remember I said, this is where you're at ease and this is where you're not at ease. The dis. Notice that the word dis, or the letters dis, because it's not even a word, is the opposite of pi itself. Pi is 3.14. Dis-ease is 413. It's the opposite. It's the upending of the natural placement of pi. So how about that? How fascinating is that? When you're not at ease, you're going in the reversal of the way the numbers are supposed to move. 413 instead of 314. So it's flipped. Pi is flipped. And I thought this was really interesting. Disease, all disease begins in the gut. You don't want to get a disease, folks. It's tied to the word dragon. 22, which is tied to change and alchemy and the word Michael. We're going to be getting into that because dragon and the Michael, they fight, and we're going to get into that. But is that where the dragon lies? In the stomach. I mean, folks, remember, it's not even just a matter of eating solid foods and digesting. It's what about your mental foods? What are you accepting as your beliefs? That's important as well. What about pi? What about the string of pi? The perfect circle. In my opinion, it's one of the best ways to measure out how this matrix reality works, because there's only one way to observe it, not multiple with numerology, or some of you like to call it gematria. Only one way. But when you combine the two, you have so much more power. The story gets strengthened. Because, look, come on, again, folks, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but most of you know, you can You can have any word match up with any word if you try hard enough. And then out goes your story. And out goes your theory. But when you add in other layers, like with pi, it strengthens the story. Notice the 364, which is the word gut itself, appears at the 346th decimal digit of pi. I mean, it's the same numbers. That's a big deal in the string of pi. That means it's super strong in this software that's written called the matrix. It's very, very strong. Not all numbers end up like this. This is a big deal. So we know this has a lot of merit. What about when we take 364 digits and we add them all up past the 3 points? So here it is, 364, and then we want to add up all those digits past the 3 point. The 3 would be right here, 3.14. This is 364 numbers past the 3 point, leading us to the word gut. Well, it ends up giving us an outcome of 1611. And do you know what that number leads to? What big thing in our matrix reality, in our world, in nature itself, leads to the 1611? Well, absolutely, it's the golden ratio. The digits of the golden ratio are 1.61. ... And so there it is. And what's really interesting, folks, is it's called the golden ratio. Golden. And when I go back here again, it's golden ratio. You see how all that ties in like that? Like not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I mean, this is straight up connections. Golden ratio. And it's tied to the gut based upon pi. So pi and the golden ratio, obviously, they're in bed together. What about the actual word golden? Well, stomach equals 27. But golden is a 27. It's what kind of ratio? The golden ratio. Which we can then break it down into gold. In the medicine cards, the 52 cards, the medicine cards are like the cards of illumination, but they use animals and insects instead of suits. The 27th card's the dragonfly. The dragon, what I just show you here, all disease begins in the gut. Disease is 22, just like the word dragon is a 22. See how that ties in, folks? That's how that ties in with these layers. Michael fought the dragon. It's really interesting. What about the number 42? Because it is called the golden ratio, tied to the solar plexus, the third chakra. When we take 42 digits past the 3 point in the string of pi, look at the outcome you get when you add up all the digits, folks. There is that 27. Once again, it's got the 0 there, giving it infinite potential. Strong tie-ins here, folks. Strong tie-ins. And there is the two battling one another. Revelation 12 verses 7. The dragon fighting Michael, Michael fighting the dragon. They both equal the number 22. 22 is the element titanium, which has an atomic mass of 47, which is the tetragrammaton. That's because, you see, folks, Jesus and Lucifer are the personalities of the tetragrammaton. That's the way this system works. So let's get into Lucifer first. Then we're going to get into Jesus and how they're tied to the solar plexus, our gut, our digestion. Notice that the number 27 appears at the 28th and 29th decimal digit of pi. When you add up 28 and 29, you'll get the number 57. And we know Lucifer is 28. So it's tied to the 27, which is tied to the element nickel. which is called devil's copper. I mean, you can't, I don't think I could make this up if I had to write the story myself. But again, the game of life is fixed. I don't have to do anything but just break it down and show you the numbers and the tie-ins, and you can see it for yourself. You can see it for yourself. Because there it is. I mean, keep in mind, the New Testament has 27 books. The New Testament, which talks about the Michael and Dragon characters fighting and battling. What about Jesus? Well, here he is, the nemesis of Lucifer. Some people think they're the same character. That might be possibly true. Or they're twin brothers. But notice, Jesus is 18, Lucifer's 28. They're only just changed by one digit, but where does that 18 appear? Well, right here. The 18th and 19th digits link up with the number 84. The number 84 appears at the 18th and 19th decimal digits of pi. That's sun and moon, by the way, because 18 in the tarot is moon, 19 is the sun. But 18 and 19 equals the number 37. See, Lucifer had 57, and Jesus has 37. That's the element rubidium. And if you watched my decode on Boaz and Yachin, the pillars in Solomon and the Bible, it's the electric eye, overlooking, perhaps even observing this world through these, these elements or layers in our world, the sun and moon. And that's linked to the character Jesus, which is linked to the character Lucifer. When you bring them together, folks, and this is why I said earlier that the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, the one that runs this matrix reality, or at least, the story says so, and I don't even know if this character or this energy or deity actually created anything. It may have ended up hijacking our matrix reality. I don't know. That'll be up to you to decide. But notice, here are the two elements linked to the solar plexus. This is our sun. Folks, let me digress. Listen. Jesus refers to himself as the morning star. What comes up in the morning that's a star that's really bright? Is it the planet Venus? Or is it our sun that we see in the sky? Well, both of them have merit. Both of them have truths, because esoterically we've been told it's Venus. And that story does fit a lot of the equations. But what if it really is the sun? What if it really is the sun that rises in the morning time, which is why he refers to himself as the morning star? And of course, Lucifer, he refers to himself as, or at least the stories go that he's the morning star as well. Is because of course the Latins, folks, the Latin culture, the Roman Catholics, they called him Lucifer. His real name is Hyll, which is linked to the number 39, but as fate would have it, because the game of life is fixed, they both share the same energies. So are they both this solar plex sun? Because they're both, Dragon and Michael are 22. And they're fighting. So do we have this combat going on in our second brain with these two characters right here? Team Yoda versus Team Darth Vader. Is that what we're seeing? Well, when you divide these two, Lucifer and Jesus, when you divide these atomic masses here, 57 divided by 84, you're going to get the number 0.68. And when we go and look at the element of the periodic table that matches that, the 68th element is erbium. It has an atomic mass of 166, which is a direct match of the word tetragrammaton, which is the ancient Israelite god of the Bible. And these two characters are in the Bible. These two characters are supposedly opposing forces of one another. They're either the same or it's good cop, bad cop. But to me, this is what the personality of the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, the Tetragrammaton, is. It's these two personalities. Just like you have a personality. Sometimes you can be an asshole. Sometimes you can be nice. It's the ego versus the spirit. That's the way this works. Do you think the designer of this matrix, or maybe at least the one that hijacked, maybe this Tetragrammaton hijacked it? And it's the virus in our matrix. And it has a personality like this. Because see, I believe, folks, the true source doesn't have to be worshipped. Doesn't need anything from anybody. Nothing. Doesn't have jealousy. None of that stuff. It just is. So I just think this is a watered down, and I'm not taking anything away from this character if it really created us, because you got to give respect where the respect's earned, right? But point is the story that we've been told is all bullshit. It's all BS. It's convoluted. And this is no exception. Let's keep going. Jesus and Lucifer, the personalities of the Tetragrammaton, of the deity that runs this matrix reality, is a 46. And when we bring in the string of pi, the number 46 appears at the 19th and 20th decimal digits of pi, which is 39, which is higher mind and lower mind, which involves the solar plexus. But the 19th card, starting off where the 4 is the sun card. This is our sun, folks. That's why it's yellow. I mean, even the word solar plexus is a match of Jesus Lucifer. Even the word solar plexus is a match of these two huge characters on the world stage today. And it's tied in with pi. I mean, the tree of life is 46. The tree of knowledge is 47, which is Tetragrammaton. Knowing good and bad. So when we take the numeric string 46 and we again add up the 19th and 20th, because again it occupies 2 digits, 19 and 20, here is what we get, folks. It's the 39th element called yttrium, and you know, the abbreviation is the letter Y. The Y is tied to the college Yale, where Skull and Bones came from. Skull and Bones equals 39. And the college that they are under is Yale, which matches this yttrium right here. The flux capacitor in Back to the Future is in the shape of the letter Y, and Marty McFly and Doc Brown had to get to 88 miles an hour to time travel. Another sync. The letter Y in the biblical sense is in the shape of a snake's tongue, which supposedly deceived Eve in the Garden of Eden. That's what the shape of a snake's tongue is when it sticks it out. And I just got done showing you, perhaps, let me just digress and show you this. Right here is this the serpent in our lower chakra points? Because you see, folks, they want to keep, this is where sex is. I mean, this is Venus and Mercury. They want to keep you down here. This is where the reproductive organs is at. They want to keep you down here to procreate. Because, see, folks, man's being used. We are being used for food. We are energetic food. And if you need food, well, you need to procreate. Like, hey, get out there and start humping and make babies. That's what it says in the Bible. Fill the earth, subdue it, create more people. The game says that. And of course, you know, sex runs a lot of people's lives. It's down here in these lower chakras that I say they because man's being used, but these people that are controlled are giving out the narrative of keeping you stuck in these lower chakra points where the serpent lies. It's just an allegory. But nonetheless, it's important to really know this kind of stuff or understand it. Let's keep going. Where am I at here? So that's why that letter Y is there, tied to the yttrium and 46 and 19 and 20. And This is the sun card and the judgment card. Judgment of the sun. Judgment of your son. That's your son. That's my son. As above, so below. Folks, the chakras above, you go outside, the dominant colors in nature are these two. Green is the leaves, trees, mountains, and then blue is the water, the sky, Father, Son. That's what we're told. And this is our sun, right there. And it's tied to the why. Time to time travel. Time to Jesus and Lucifer. Good cop, bad cop. We live in a dualistic nature, folks. Here's even more proof. Talking about time travel, Doc Brown, if you've seen the first Back to the Future, he had to get a bolt of lightning to come down the clock tower and strike the DeLorean at the exact moment that Marty McFly passed through to get that 1.21 gigawatts of power to send him into the future, because it was the flux capacitor was broken. So to match that, he needed 1.21 gigawatts. Well, here's the match. That equals the number 111. And then we bring in 84 plus 27. That equals the number 111. Let's bring pi and numerology into this. Jesus and Lucifer, 18 and 28. Notice the number 84 appears at the 18th decimal digit. There's Jesus. Scratch that off the list. How about Lucifer in the 28? Here it is. Lucifer appears at the 27th decimal, because he's at right here. The 27 appears at the 28th decimal digit. 27 and 84 equals the number 111. 1.21 gigawatts of power. It's a bolt of lightning. The light bearer, the morning star. They're both one and the same. Maybe separate characters, good cop, bad cop, but each one is a necessary component, because there it is in this matrix reality. What about the word gigawatts? We know it's 1.21, which is actually linked to the 51st element, antimony. Antimony equals the number 28 tied to Lucifer. Antimony is 111 through the English, but how about it's 1.21 gigawatts? Notice it's 26 in Chaldean, and 26 is the element iron. And folks, this is the original spelling of the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. There is no vowels. It was a 10-5-6-5, 4 letters, which represents the box that we live in, the 4 corners of the earth, south, north, east, and west. And I want you to understand or understand that the Iron Age, according to history, is when El and Yahweh and the origins of Israel came out. Go study your history. The Iron Age. Iron. So is it possible, folks, that before that character, the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, there was something else? Well, if you study your history, it was El. And then you go back to the Phoenicians, it was the Anunnaki. The story is just changing through history. It's just somebody wanted to it's because it's trying to elude the truth. In order to elude the truth, you must lie. You must give more stories and water it down. And this is the only thing we can go off of. But a bolt of lightning is tied to the El, the character El, which is where Yahweh, which is where the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh came from. It's 55, which is tied to the character Satan, and it's tied to the 26. The Iron Age, 26 gigawatts. In the English, it's the 107. 107 is tied to the element silver. 47 is tied to the tetragrammaton. You see how the story all kind of comes together? And we strengthen it with the elements. We strengthen it with history. We strengthen it with so many layers, so we can't just get stuck on numerology or gematria, because there's so many outcomes that connect to the same things. And then we're dead in the water. I wanted to throw this in, folks, because I thought this was pertinent. This is the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Of course, it's expanded and blown up. The Yod. The Yod is the 10th letter of the Phoenician alphabet, the Hebrew, the Aramaic, the Syriac, the Persian, and the Arabic. It's all tied together. You notice, look at what the shape of our stomach is. Does that kind of, does that kind of look like the stomach a little bit? I thought it did. I thought it looked like it a lot. I really, really did. And remember, it's yellow. Yellow's the sun. The Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh is a sun deity. It's a solar deity. It's tied to Ra. Ra is the sun god. And I thought this looked so much like our our stomach. I thought obviously it'd have to a little bit change, but I think the basic foundation looks just like our stomach. What do you think, though? I don't think I'm stretching in the least bit with this. And then, you bring in the tarot. Here's the 10th card in the tarot. And folks, the 10th card is called the Wheel of Fortune. You spin the wheel. Here's the devil at the bottom representing hell. And here's the blue representing Kronos, aka Saturn, aka the Yod, representing heaven. Here are the 4 fixed signs in astrology. The ox, lion, eagle, man, which represents the X chromosome. And then in here, folks, is the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh right here. Those 4 letters, including tarot, are on that wheel. And it's the 10th letter. There's the snake. It's the 10th letter. And does that 10 run our digestion? Does it have anything to do with our digestion? Did it hijack our digestion? I'm almost finished with this presentation. I'm just going to follow this and move towards the ending of our chromosomes. Because is it possible the Yod's tied to our digestion? The 10. And, here is the X chromosome. See, we have the X and the Y chromosomes, which is 7 points. It's 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point. There's the box. And then here's the Y. 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. 4 plus 3 is 43, which is 7. X and Y is 49, the 24th letter and the 25th letter, using the English alphabet. And look at this, folks. The number 10 in the string of pi appears at the 49th decimal digit of pi. 49 and 50, which is 99, which is tetragrammaton anyway. Tetragrammaton's 99, Einsteinium. That's why in Back to the Future, Doc Brown named his dog Einstein, Einsteinium. But there it is, 49 and 10. It's right there. And then you bring the gut in here, folks. We're talking about the solar plexus in the gut. There it is, the 13. Well, how do we get that involved with the tarot? Once again, here it is. The number 10 appears. We're talking about the Wheel of Fortune, the X and Y chromosomes. Because there is the X chromosome right on the top. It's the Roman numeral X. And in the string of pi, the 49 appears with the 10. The 49th card in the tarot is the King of Cups. The King of Cups is the cousin of the King Hearts card, the 13th card, which is linked to the word gut. So you see how that's all connected like that? It's all connected, giving us the story, the narrative of this matrix and how it works. I think this is my last slide, folks. So, what about the X and the Y? Tied to the stomach, tied to our chromosomes, tied to the Yod, the Wheel of Fortune. Folks, here it is. It's the X is xenon, 54, and then the Y is yttrium. And when you add up those two right there, 131.904 plus 88.906, you're going to get 200 and 20.81. 22. Dragon. 22. Michael. Michael and the dragon battling. They're fighting over the chromosomes. I mean, even the word xenon and yttrium is 49, matching that of the 24 and 25, the X and Y chromosomes. Tied to the 10, tied to the Wheel of Fortune, going back, tied to perhaps where it all starts for us, the digestion. So folks, all disease begins in the gut. That's why it's so important to eat the right kinds of foods. It's so important to eat the right kinds of foods. Did this character hijack our matrix reality? And of course, tied to the solar plexus. It's a solar deity. It's a freaking solar deity. And this is our solar plexus, which looks really close to the shape of the Y, the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Also looks like a little baby, a little fetus growing. But what is it that you saw during this presentation, folks? I went over a lot of information. What is it you saw during this presentation? I'd love to hear your comments. Well, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thanks for watching.